Hello, this is my pear Espalier. Although looking at it now, you'd be forgiven for not recognising it as an Espalier because I've allowed it to get a little bit out of control. And it's a fine mid-June afternoon in the UK, and today's the day I'm going to bring this back under control. And whilst doing that, I will talk to you about Espaliers, why people do them, how they do them, the benefits of doing them, and at the end of this video you will once again recognise this as an Espalier pear. I've got a small pair of secateurs and a slightly larger pair of loppers for the thicker branches. And one of the things that the fruit on this Espalier is going to need to swell is light. And there's a great big overhanging bush there which is taking a lot of the afternoon and evening light. So I'm going to bring that back under control too. So why do people do Espaliers? Well, I suppose the first thing is it's quite space saving because it's just on 2 dimensions. You can walk past it, and sometimes people do stepover Espaliers with just 1 level of fruit. And all I'm doing here is removing a lot of these vertical shoots that have sprung up out of the horizontals. And I'm doing that for several reasons. Firstly, they are taking a lot of light off the fruit. Secondly, they will be sapping a lot of energy from the plant. And I'm not removing any that have got fruit on, so that the ones that remain, that have the fruit, can absorb all the remaining energy. Another reason people do Espaliers is because it can increase the yield from any amount of space. And again, I'm taking all the non-fruiting verticals away so that the ones that have got fruit on that remain can have all their food. Hopefully, as I go through removing all the straggly vertical shoots, you'll start to see the horizontals behind. And when you do an Espalier, what you're supposed to do is start off with a young plant, cut it at 30 centimetres, and then allow the 3 top shoots to grow. And at the end of that season, when the growth is still reasonably malleable, you tie 2 down and you leave 1 to grow up. And then when that reaches 30 centimetres more, you nip that one and let 3 grow. Until eventually you have like a ladder of growth. Another reason people Espalier fruits is for the look. This 2-dimensional horizontal structure is very easy on the eye, and it's certainly something of interest in the garden. I'm getting to the stage now where I'm reaching the underbelly of the plant. I can start to see where the fruits are along these growths, and you can definitely see the sun's rays penetrating now and reaching these fruits. So we have 1 horizontal coming along here, and we have a second coming along here. And it's all got into a bit of a tangled mess at this end. So I'm going to be quite brutal. And I'm going to use my loppers. And this is somewhat wasteful because there is some fruit on this piece, but it's not what I want to look at, so it's coming off. And there's an example of some juvenile fruit. And by removing that, I made a clear definition between this horizontal and this one. I have a spare wire here, so it would be useful at some stage to find a horizontal, perhaps this one, to train along it. Let's get a few more of these wasteful, hungry, vertical shoots out of the way. That's a clear candidate for training along that wire. And in order to see what's going on here, I'm going to have to remove some of this overhanging plant. And again, already light has flooded in. This is possibly a good time to talk about the principle of apical dominance. Apical dominance is the principle that the growing tip of any branch, the one that's dominant at the top, releases a hormone down into the plant, which inhibits the growth of anything below it. And this is nature's way of helping that growing tip reach for the light and outcompete its neighbours. And by natural selection, you will then end up with the strongest, tallest plants and trees succeeding, and those in the shade dying off or dying away. So that's apical dominance, and you can use that to your benefit, because if you snip off the growing tip, the ones immediately below will get all the benefit from the roots, and they will grow. And in the absence of that hormone which inhibits growth, they will put on a real spurt. And you can use that here in an espalier to encourage growth along. I'm going to get in to this bush here now and remove a lot of the shade. If you can, plant your espalier against a wall in a sunny position, because the wall will absorb the sun's heat all day and emit it at night, and that will increase the overall average temperature. And I normally get a harvest of about 40 lovely conference pears from this one plant at the end of August. Let's thin out a bit more. And I'm removing anything that doesn't have fruit on it, down to about 5 buds. And the theory is that that will leave just enough space for some fruiting spurs to emerge next year. And it's all still a little bit chaotic up at this top end here. So I'm going to assess if there's something I can do to sort this out and make it look more organised. I have a vertical coming up through here, and this one comes out as a horizontal, so we don't need that. That's my vertical, so I shall get rid of that one. A nice horizontal there coming along, a nice horizontal there, a nice horizontal there. What is going on up here? This one is protruding 3-dimensionally. It's got to go. I've left deliberately a downward facing spur here, and hopefully that will produce another horizontal coming out. Again, the vertical, which I was saving, is protruding somewhat. Let's be brutal. Let's get rid. I've nipped it in the bud. Another thing to consider, if you've got a fruit tree like this, is thinning out. It may be that too many of the blossoms were successful in pollinating, and the nutrients through this trunk are being spread too thinly to the fruit. So sometimes it's a good idea to take some of the excess fruit out I'm going to have a look to see if I need to do it. Well, there's only two close together there. There's only one close together there. There's only two close together there. Now on this one, there are four very close together. And I don't think those four fruit will all develop whilst they are competing so closely with each other. So let's take two out. By leaving two, giving them the best chance. There's two there. There's two neighbouring, but they're on a different twig. There's one there. There are three quite close together here. Let's take one out. Two, one, two. Down here in the shaded end, there are some lovely looking fruits. And there's not too many, so I'm just going to let them be. Let's take a few of these leaves off to allow more light in. Again, four right here, very close together. One, two, three, four. Too many. Let's take the two weakest out. I still have a bit of a situation because there's still quite a lot of shade coming from that neighbouring bush. And it's still only around 5 p.m. so there's still quite a lot of lovely sunlight to come through before the evening is over. So I'm going to go ahead and take a bit more off the neighbouring bush. Before doing this, and indeed before doing any hedge cuttings at this time of year, have a very thorough check for birds' nests, because technically we are still in the bird nesting season. I checked and there were no nests, so I was free to have a good trim at the edges of this hedge. Already you can see the benefit, because what was in shade is now in the light. Bear with me whilst I clear this away. Some general tips. If you're growing fruit trees in pots or indeed close together, do feed them and mulch them and top dress them, because they will be very hungry plants when they start producing fruit. If you have liked this vlog, please do like, subscribe, share and hit the notifications bell, and please do comment, do get involved. I love to hear from you. Have you got an espalier? Would you like one? Have you got any questions? And you may indeed recognise this location because it's right next to where I planted my fig, against the same sunny south-facing wall. And next week I'm going to do a vlog on how to maximise fruit from a fig by pinching out, because there are certain tricks and techniques. So subscribe and come back for that one. I'll see you soon.